that's not what happened. So there was this stretch of 13 kilometers. And the funny thing is that we even have the alternative, and we even discussed if to take the safer alternative. But I don't know, no risk, no fun. So we were like, well, let's start doing it. And if we see that it's too bad, we just turn back. I was like, okay, let's do it. And then we started it. And we also decided to do that because it was such a scenic route, just on the side of this of the Flinders. It was amazing. It was very mystical. It was great up until it started actually raining, and then the rain stopped, and that's when I think the terrain, the soil started becoming mud and stick to the tires, and just kicking up and kicking up and kicking up. Every time you would just pedal, this mud would just stick to the wheels, that would stick to the bike, that would stick to the rack, until you just couldn't paddle anymore, and you couldn't even, the wheel wouldn't turn because everything was just stuck.
Welcome to Seek Travel Ride, where we share the stories and experiences of people taking amazing adventures by bike. Whether it's crossing state borders, mountain ranges, countries or continents, we want to share that spirit of adventuring on two wheels with our listeners. Hello everyone, it's Bella Malloy here, host of Seek Travel Ride, and I'm super excited to be introducing our guest for today's episode, Laura Bastioli. Laura is currently in the middle of an incredible bike adventure across Australia. In fact, she's sort of in the middle of Australia as we speak, there in Alice Springs. Her journey started in Melbourne, and from there she's already taken in the stunning Great Ocean Road, gone to Adelaide, and then took a turn north. She got onto the rugged Mawson Trail before tackling the iconic Oodnadatta track, and before getting to Alice Springs, had a special detour to see Uluru. Laura seems to thrive in these remote landscapes, as she's recently made a bold decision to keep pedalling north through the centre of Australia with an end destination of Darwin. Challenges? Yeah, Laura's had a few of those so far as well. She's dealt with muddy trails that literally brought her ride to a grinding halt on the Mawson Trail. She navigated through some pretty corrugated and sandy dirt roads, had her fair share of equipment failures, which had her fixing parts roadside, and also ended up with some long waits in tiny remote outback towns waiting for replacement parts to arrive. But this adventure's also delivered some overwhelming highlights for Laura. She's been riding through those typical red desert landscapes of the outback. She's met many fellow bike travellers along the way, and she's been experiencing Australia's unique and wild beauty up close. Laura is also an avid thru hiker, and prior to setting off on this bike adventure, she's hiked some epic trails, like New Zealand's Te Araroa, the Larapinta Trail in Australia, and Italy's Alta Via in the Dolomites. I'm super excited to be chatting with Laura today to learn how she swapped out her hiking boots for bikepacking, how she's navigated the highs and occasional lows of this massive Australian adventure, what she's excited to see as she continues the journey to Darwin, and what it's really like to be cycling through some of the most remote parts of this beautiful country. Laura Bastioli, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bella. That was quite of an intro. Thank you.
Oh, I always think for my guests, Laura, like hearing back what you've done already, it's a good way to remind yourself of what you've already achieved. But your adventure is partway through. There's still so much to go. I'm so excited to see what lays ahead of you. I've got a full list of questions to ask, but the question I start my show with, and I ask it of all my guests, is, Laura Bastioli, do you remember the very first bike you ever rode?
Yes and no. So I don't remember the exact bike I rode, but I do have a isolated memory from my childhood. For context, my mom, she's Brazilian. So when I was younger, I used to spend a lot of, if not every summer school holiday in Brazil. So one of these summers, I must have been maybe 6 or 7 years old. A family member was running for mayor for this tiny village in the Amazon forest, in the middle of the Amazon, where my grandma lived. Somehow I got given this very serious task of distributing the flyers for the campaign, and I did that on a bike. And I remember like the feeling of flying down the road, and some of them, they were dirty, being such a small remote village. and I was feeling free, and I was feeling like the speed that the bike was giving, which when you are that young, it's like crazy. There were also the locals, the families just sitting outside their house and just waving at me. And sometimes they would just invite me over for a glass of water and some homemade cookies. The kids would be kids that were younger than me normally would be like very curious about the bike. And it was really great to have these interactions with all of them. And for me, it was really like just the best adventure.
I need to go and drill into those. So it was summer holidays you'd spend in Brazil?
Yes, they were like just summer holiday. In Italy, we have very long summer school holidays, like 3 months long. And being my family, like most of my family live in Manaus, which is right in the north, in the middle of the Amazon forest. So I just used to spend my time there a lot, like every year.
Wow, it's amazing because when I think of Brazil, it's a huge country as well.
Yes.
It's funny when you're talking about school there, I always remember about the thing I remember the most about Brazil, and this will sound ridiculous, is one of my school projects when I was a tiny little girl was I had to pick a country and do a little school project about that country, and I picked Brazil.
Oh, wow.
I always remember. I sort of have these little weird memories about learning little bits and pockets about Brazil, but it is a huge country. It's more than just the beaches in Rio de Janeiro.
Yes.
It's massive, right?
It's massive, and I don't even know it that well, I feel. Yeah, I've been to Rio, I've been to Fortaleza, and I've seen that aspect of Brazil that everyone think of, like the long sandy beach and the nice weather, even some surf, but
dancing and parties
yeah,
and, good fun, summer vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, the samba, all cheerful people, like that's also true. And that's also true from where my family is from. But landscape-wise, it's completely different. Like nowadays, all my aunts and uncle, they live in the actual city, the city of Manaus, which is just a city, but it's nice when you actually fly into Manaus that you can just see like this Amazon surrounding the city, which is just endless, and the Amazon River just going like a snake, like just turning into very like curvy, and it's magical.
When I think of the Amazon, Laura, I think of life and like nature and raw nature and rugged beauty and wild nature. I sort of think of where you are now and where you've travelled through in Central Australia. It's such a different end of the spectrum, isn't it? You've gone through so many big open landscapes, even the colour, the Amazon, I think of, green and lushness. In Australia, I'm thinking of red dirt and open and big skies. It's such a contrast.
That's right. It's completely opposite, I would say. Maybe that's why I like it so much here, and Brazil as well, I guess.
Yeah, what about Italy? Whereabouts in Italy did you grow up?
I grew up on a small village in the center of Italy. The closest town would be Perugia, which would be 2 hours from Rome.
So part of your family's in Brazil, part of your family's in Italy?
Yes, but my dad's side family is like smaller in size. I only have not many people, not many family members in Italy. Just a couple of cousins. Yes.
I'm sort of thinking of like if I was to come over to your place, the food I could be eating, it'd be such a good melange, nice and little mix there.
Yeah, my mom, she's a really good cook. Even of Italian food, both Italian and Brazilian food.
Oh my gosh, and I imagine you've grown up with some fusion. It's funny, it's so early in the show, but I always have to talk about food on the show.
Yes.
I think we will. We'll talk about some lovely outback food.
Oh, yes.
But if you could have the gift of your mother cooking you a meal right now, what would you ask her to cook you?
Despite her being Brazilian, I would still ask her to make lasagna. She makes the best lasagna. And I'm trying to copy her, and it's always not as good. I don't know what.
Yeah, there's always just something. There's just something that's not quite there, right? I know.
Yes. And I asked her like so many times, like what she puts in there. And she's like, oh, but I just put this and the tomato sauce and a little bit of veggies and that's it. But it's not just it.
No, sometimes I think it's their physical hand
Yeah.
size because sometimes I think there's no specific measurements. It's, I grab it with my fingers and it's this much, and the amount that we grab is different, or there's something, right?
That's right.
I have to say, listeners, it's early in the morning here in France, but all of a sudden, Laura, I really want a big plate of lasagna. I want to get an idea then. I can understand, like, being back in Brazil for summer holidays and being near the Amazon, being near this outdoor area. I think I can form an idea of a person's sense of their affiliation to nature and the outdoors by their childhood. So I imagine did you really look forward to going to Brazil and being in the outdoors when you were younger? And like in Italy, like, did you grow up in a small village, and did you have access to the outdoors, or can you reflect back on your childhood and think, oh yeah, I wasn't always an outdoors person?
Actually, paradoxically, not really. Yeah, I was always looking forward to go to Brazil every year, but it was mainly to see my cousins. I had a very good relationship with them, and then as I said, like, they are now living mainly in the city, which is just a city, and occasionally we would go to this village, which was such a huge drive. Like, it would take half a day to just get there. And that would be maybe the only contact that I would have with nature, having all the trees and the forest just in the backyard of the house, and some of the wildlife as well. However, I don't think I've seen, I don't think I've experienced that nature as a outdoors person would. Like, I didn't go for hikes. I didn't really do much with nature. Maybe some dips in the Amazon River, but I also remember that I didn't quite like that because the water, sometimes it's murky, sometimes you can't see it.
Yeah, muddy, you don't know what's in there.
Exactly, and it's the Amazon, and like, there are all these stories about, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a proud Australian, and part of being a proud Australian is sort of being proud of our dangerous animals. But when I think of dangerous animals, I think the Amazon would be a place that would have me on edge, because there's lots of things that could legitimately do stuff to me here.
Yes, that's right. So, yes, so I was always, I don't know, it was more at a union with my family, my time in Brazil, rather than living it the outdoorsy way. And in Italy, actually, I'm not too sure, I was always attracted with the outdoors and nature, but I actually never got into any of that until, seriously at least, until I got to New Zealand 6 years ago. It was something that I would, I don't know, read about. I read so many books about hikes or mountaineering, and watch movies about people traveling like long distances, and I was in my mind always attracted, but I never put it on practice.
No, and then you get to New Zealand, the land of the long white cloud, one of the most amazing countries I've ever had the privilege of going to. I loved it so much, Laura, I got married there.
Oh, wow, where about?
Gosh, a little interjection here. So my husband and I, we actually eloped, and it was just the two of us, and we took a helicopter to the top of the Tasman Glacier right near Mount Cook and said our I-do's there. So it was a very, very unique scene.
Absolutely.
But I absolutely love New Zealand. It's just, a place that has a part of my heart and soul.
It is a very special place. It's amazing there.
Kiwis are special people too. I really love, like, Kiwis, like New Zealand people. There's just a beautiful, warm friendliness to the culture as well.
That's right. It's one of the most hospitable country I ever experienced.
And that's where your love with the outdoors blossomed, I guess?
Yes. Let's say I put it into practice. I start by being, I guess, confident into going out, starting with small hikes. Well, actually, my first hike, it wasn't really small, but I did it with Leven, who is my partner. So by doing it in company, there is always a little bit of more confidence, more trust. You know that you're not alone, and you know that if something happens, there is someone that it's better.
Can help work it out together.
That's right. You can work it out together.
Because you've done the Te Araroa, like that's the...
Yes.
Have you done the whole, like that's a massive through hike of New Zealand, or have you done sections of it, or what have you done there?
It's a big hike. I have only walked the South Island section from Picton to Bluff.
What a section to walk. Wow.
Yes, I would say the best one, I would say, but I haven't done both, so can't really compare.
Is it on your to-do? Like, do you want to return and do the North Island as well?
Not really. I was living in New Zealand in the North Island for the last 3 years-ish, 2 years, and I was living in the North Island in Taupo, which was a great base also to go and explore the best bits of what the North Island can offer, I think, in my opinion. So I don't have the need to go back to do the North Island section, but I would love to actually redo some of the South Island section because they were just incredible, amazing landscapes.
Yeah. Because I love New Zealand and as the host I can be a bit selfish, I do want to ask the question, which part in the South Island, if you could just go to one section, where would you go?
I would say this section is called the Richmond Ranges, and it's the north of the South Island. It's great there because it gets really remote. It's the longest section of the whole Tararoa where you will go without resupply. You will go without resupply for like 9 days. So you will have to carry 9 days worth of food on your backpack, which is a lot. It's like not carrying. I mean, on a bike, if you have to carry that much, it's still like a big load. But I think carrying it on your backpack, it's...
Oh my gosh, I 100% agree with you. There is something totally different about actually physically having something on your person and body and carrying it, as opposed to strapping it onto the bike
That's
and
right.
rolling with it.
And
they're both difficult, but one is walking, that's a level up.
yes, I think it's a little bit of an extra layer of difficulty, but at the same time, because you had to do that, it meant that you were really far away from everything, and it's a very mountainous part of the trail, so you go up and down a lot, and obviously when you go up, it's just this huge, vast peaks of the mountains. When I did it, I also had the most incredible weather, so it was just great. And you go through these huts, which makes the whole hike also easier, I think.
Because you've got set places there's sections for your trail,
That's
isn't
right.
it? Because I think wild camping in New Zealand's not allowed, is it?
Wild camping, yeah, it's not really allowed. I think people do it. I have done it for sure. There are some rules, like you have to be maybe in certain trail. Most of the trails, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 200 meters from the trail. In the Great Walk, so you have to be 500 meters away from the trail, and then you can wild camp. But in most of the cases, you cannot go 500 meters from these trails because you would be on a
trees, terrain, on the side of a mountain.
Yes, like you would just fall off somewhere. So not really possible.
You're not in the outback.
No, definitely not.
Because you have done some through hikes in Australia, like the Laura Pinta Trail. Tell me about that. That would have been an amazing experience. And what I'm piecing together slowly here, Laura, is this yearning for isolation and remoteness in a way.
Yes. So the Laura Pinta, so what happened? I was in Melbourne. I was living in Melbourne throughout the last few months of my first year on my visa here, on my stay here in Australia. And I was in Melbourne and I was finishing up and I was like, I'm not too sure if I will. This was in 2022, so I wasn't sure if I would ever go back to Australia. And I was thinking if I really wanted to have as a last memory a place like Melbourne, which I loved, but I think it doesn't express what real Australia is. So I started looking up things that I could do, and I came up with the Lara Pinta, mainly because I remembered this movie that I watched when I was 18, 17 years old, which is called Tracks, and it's about this lady, Robin Davidson, who walked from Alice Springs to the Indian Ocean with the camels. She was the camel lady. I think she's quite huge here in Australia, and I kind of the movie and the whole story was so great that it kind of stuck in my head for like 10 years. And then I was in Australia, so I was like, why not doing something in those landscapes, something that I got so moved when I was watching the movie. And now I'm here, it's the time of doing it. So I just take a plane and flew into Alice and did it.
And brought that part. And did the landscapes meet up with what? Like, I mean, I know it's one thing to see something on a screen, but actually being there in person, what was that like?
Obviously, on the movie, she went like the movies shows different type of landscape. It's desert, but there are different types of deserts even in Australia. And Lara Pinta, it's probably not what I would have seen in the movie, but it was amazing. I mean, like the ranges they're just something incredible. I had this primordial feeling when I was there, as I was feeling as if I was the only person on Earth with these big mountains and just me. I did it also just after COVID, like just it wasn't much time after the Australia opened the border. So I think especially a place like Alice Springs wasn't facing with much tourism yet. So it was really remote, like even in terms of people. And I had most of the places for myself, which increased this feeling of being alone and just being just out there and enjoy as much as you could.
Just hearing you talk about your through hikes and the things you've experienced there, I can see that I have this thing which I drew from a previous guest. He'd said with each trip you pack your panniers of experience and you put the experience into your panniers and you take it with you. And I can see how you've built on experiences, even though through hiking and bike riding is very different, but there are still things that you've had to navigate there, and the remoteness of a section, I feel, is part of your experience there. Bike packing. You started bike packing actually in New Zealand, didn't you?
Actually, not really. I've heard.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay.
So,
How did you get introduced to it then?
okay. So, yes, I got introduced to it, yes, in New Zealand. That's where I first heard about it. That was during COVID. And in two different occasions, I met these two French cyclists, Laurent and Clotaire. One I met it at the backpacker, and one I met him when I was walking the Terra Roa. And they actually even knew each other, and they have biked together in the past. But I heard about bikepacking from them in the first place. They both biked from France all the way to New Zealand, taking like these massive trips, and just listening to their stories was just inspirational. But at that stage, I don't know, the idea just stayed in the back of my mind and kind of dormant until I think it was 2023 when I was in Vietnam. Yeah, I was in the north part of Vietnam and I was just backpacking. And that's when I heard about the Ajang Loop. I start like looking for information and looking at the photos and the landscapes there and the villages. They looked spectacular. But I think I quickly became frustrated with this whole Ajang Loop because I realized that the only usual way to visit it was by scooter, by motorbike, and I cannot drive a scooter. I didn't really want to hire a easy rider, which is like a local guy that would ride the scooter for you and you would just sit in the back. It just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like the way that I would like to explore such a beautiful piece of the country. And that's also when it clicked. I'm like, if a scooter can go, why not a bike? I was in Hanoi and I can't remember how, but it was through Facebook. I got in contact with the owner of this hostel in Hajang and he said, like, come up, I can fix you with a bike and you go on your adventure. So I just took a bus.
So you went there without a bike as well. Like, it's not like you had the gear or anything. You went up there, you had the idea, and then you made it happen there. That's brilliant.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I just had my backpack then because I wasn't planning on any cycling trip when I was there. And then yes, I got fixed with this mountain bike, which was the bike of the sister of a friend of a friend of a friend. It was like this big loop.
I love that.
Yes. I couldn't even find, I remember I found the bike. Well, this guy found it for me, and we tried to find some racks and some bags to put on it, but we couldn't really find anything in the town of Ajang. So I just went with the bike and my backpack, just putting like a set of clothes for the night, some toiletries there, my camera, and off I went for my first cycling trip.
How long was that? Like, how many days did it take you to do that loop?
I think just over a week, if I'm not mistaken.
But you loved it?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but it was hard. It was a lot of hike a bike going uphill because I don't know if I wasn't strong enough to pedal or if the gradient, the climb was too steep for me. But I do remember those climbs. I was always just pushing my bike, and then I would get to the top, put my helmet on, and just go down until the next climb would start.
Yeah, well, I've seen pictures of roads around that area, and they are pretty steep. So I don't think put yourself down. I think, and also just even the way that your bike's loaded, like with the backpack, that makes it harder to sort of navigate as well.
Yes.
I want to fast forward then to this trip and this adventure. As I mentioned, I think you started it in Melbourne, right?
Yes, I did start in Melbourne.
I know you're in Alice Springs now. Was Melbourne to Alice Springs always initially the start and finish points? Because I know the finish points changed recently, but was that where you originally had intended to go to?
Well, actually, funny you ask. No. The short answer is no. So I got inspired by this trip when I met Clotaire on the Terraroa. He was going to do this crossing from Melbourne to Darwin. And when I heard about it, I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. I think that's something that I want to do. Back then, I was like, oh, eventually I will do Melbourne to Darwin, Melbourne to Darwin. Like, I always thought about it like that until this year when actually I start really thinking about doing something like that. And I don't know, the idea of already preparing when the whole idea became more practical, I was like, oh, maybe maybe it's too big. Maybe this whole plan is just too big, and I'm not too sure if I will have the skills or the resilience or the strength of doing it. So maybe let's start small and do Melbourne to Adelaide first. So that's what I told everyone. I was going to do Melbourne to Adelaide. And then I got to Adelaide. I was like, oh,
Yeah, and then you were like, oh, not finished yet?
no, you know what? That's quite cool. So maybe let's go to Uluru. And then I'm like, as soon as, I don't know, what this trip was evolving, I was like, oh, maybe I could just push it a little bit to Alice Springs and maybe stay there. And now that I'm in Alice Springs, I'm like...
Now you're going to Darwin. So the original Melbourne and Darwin's happening.
Yeah,
it's like it's meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yes.
But even like Uluru to Alice Spring is a trip in itself. Like that's over 600 kilometres apart almost, isn't it? Like everyone thinks Alice Springs is next to Uluru and it's not.
No, absolutely not. Well, you can... No, if you go to Uluru, it's a big detour. It's like 400 km if you go through the highway.
Yeah, but you didn't.
No, I took the turn off to Uluru, and then I cycled back to the turn off to go to Kings Canyon, and then there is also there like a dirt road called the Merini Loop that rejoins to the like a sealed road, and it gets into Alice from west, let's say. So that's what I did, and yeah, it's a big detour.
It's a big detour, but you know what makes adventures the great ones? The detours that you take.
That is so true.
Wow. Something else that you said there, and it's something that a few guests have said, and listeners, if you're someone that's listening to these podcasts as inspiration to take your own first adventure, this little bit of words of wisdom are things that people have used successfully for their own trips, and that is like breaking down a big journey into small parts. You there, Laura, were talking about Melbourne to Darwin seems too big, but maybe I could do Melbourne to Adelaide and I'll say that part out loud to others and commit to that.
Yes.
And probably Melbourne to Adelaide, Laura, did you even break it down into smaller sections there? I'm doing the Great Ocean Road now and I'm going this section first. And then you break it down to the next section. I think breaking big journeys down into smaller journeys, it's easier to process in order to achieve it,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Feels achievable. It feels like, okay, I will be on the road, let's say for 3 days, or 2 days, 3 days, and then you do it. And obviously, the more you do it and the more confident you get, the more you get to know your surroundings. It just gets easier. And before you know, you just cycled hundreds and thousands of kilometers with many things in between, but it just happens, yes, before you know it.
It's funny, listeners, before we press record, Laura and I were talking about her journey to date, and I was mentioning to Laura how I was looking through images from the start of her journey and where she's been and where she's up to, and it's just amazing to see where you've travelled from and where you are now and the things that you've experienced, because I think sometimes when you're actually in the adventure itself, Laura, there's a saying, you don't see the forest for the trees. Like you can't see that big expanse of distance. You can't, you might open a map maybe occasionally to see where you've come from, but you're so within it, you're living in those small sections. But it's in reflecting back, you can really see what you've gone through, right?
That is right. I also have had this feeling when I remember when I had this breakdown on the trip and I had to force rest for like about a week.
Yeah. What was the name of the little remote town you were in there? You were in a small place.
Yeah, so I was staying in a place in a town called Melrose. It's actually quite famous in South Australia if you're into mountain biking because there is a
Yeah,
big
it
mountain
is.
And it's like big mountain, like for Australia standards, I guess. But there are a lot of
A little
trails
hill.
there.
Yeah.
And a lot of mountain bikers they just they go there to do these trails. The Mawson Trail goes there, and yeah, I was stuck there for a bit, and I just also took that moment to go through the photos that I've taken, and I was like, oh my god, now I am in this dry landscape of South Australia who just experienced this 6 months drought, but few weeks ago, I was like in the rain in the forest of the Otways and taking the swim in the ocean, and it was such a different. Everything it was different, almost opposite.
Listeners, I want to talk about sunglasses and I want to give a huge shout out to Ombres. Specifically, I've been rocking the Refugio Sunnies, and these things have honestly been a revelation for me. Now, I don't know about you, but I have had the heartbreak of breaking much loved sunglasses before. My favourite pair snapped, and seriously, I tried everything to fix them. I even had a friend try and reintegrate the arm for me. I tried to go back to the original supplier and it was a discontinued model, and I had absolutely no luck. Anyway, I have recently switched to Ombres, and here's the clever part. They actually don't have sidearms. Instead, they use this lightweight cord system which sits comfortably around your head and they stay perfectly in place. Seriously, they do not slip, they do not roll down your nose when you're riding and your nose is sweaty or you're heading down a descent. You don't have to continually move them around and shift them. And the other thing is they have no arms to break in the first place and they don't get tangled in your hair. That was an unexpected great thing, and trust me, if you've seen a photo of me, you know that I've got some pretty wild curly locks, and not having sunglasses get tangled in there is a great thing as well. But here's the real kicker. For every pair that they make, Ombres plant 20 mangrove trees. So they're producing stuff which is brilliant for your bike adventures while at the same time being absolutely awesome for our planet as well. If you want to check them out and support the podcast, head to the affiliate link which I have put in the show notes. Honestly, once you try Ombres, you're not going to go back to your conventional sunnies. And if you think of the landscapes that you've been through, leaving from a big city like Melbourne, going through the Otways, which is a beautiful, beautiful part of Australia, and, the lush sort of green forestry there, to the most big beaches and wild expanses down the bottom there with the Great Ocean Road and the scenic sights of, the 12 Apostles, the typical tourist photo of you with your bike with the 12 Apostles behind you is amazing, right? But then to make your way to Adelaide, there's a lot of expanse, and then, oh my gosh, the Mawson Trail, the red dirt and the dust and the corrugations start hitting. Like, you've had some pretty stunning and stark changes in scenery along the way.
Yes, yes, I did. And that's also like one of the highlights of this whole journey, because everyone, I think, that thinks of Australia thinks it as this desert, hot country, when it is not like that. There is some diversity from landscape, wildlife, and even cities and towns. That you can tell that there is a change. That's great. That's what makes also traveling it with a bike such a great experience. I think it's one of the best countries to do such a trip, Australia. You realize that
Because you see so many different
yeah,
changes,
there
huh?
is so many different changes that I don't know. I don't think people realize that they don't. They think everything is danger, like danger wildlife or so much desert, and that's not just that. Like there is this forest of the Otways, like this. It's kind of tropical kind of thing, rainforest. Not actually this rainforest, and it's a lot green than you would think of, especially down south, like in Victoria. And yeah, for me was I quite enjoyed it. And it was cold, so cold. Like, oh my God, I was not expecting. I don't know why. I'm cycling through winter in Australia. I should have expected that. Yes, I think it was the first time in my life that I was camping with such a cold weather, like freezing.
Yeah. What was the lowest temperatures that you would have had to camp through there?
-2, -3, I think.
Yeah, but if you're not prepared for -2 or -3, that it may as well be -20.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I have a good quilt, but I didn't have enough layers. Not at all. Like, was quite a surprise, actually. Waking up with this tent all frosty, all crunchy. I'm like, that's not what I was expecting. Totally not.
Actually, I did see one of the images here, and where you cowboy camped, so you didn't even put your tent up at
That
one
was my
night.
last night.
That was the last night. What was that like to not even have the tent up? Because you woke up with a bit of crispy sleeping bag.
Yes.
But what was it like to actually just cowboy camp? Because something that occurs to me in those landscapes, and maybe it wasn't in this particular place, and you'll tell me, but you'd have such magnificent views of the night skies. And like to be able to see that just without a tent sort of fly in between would be incredible.
It was, especially was. So I cowboy camped on my on the last night of this trip, because I didn't do it. I don't know why I didn't do it. I should have done that more often, because it was incredible. It was, you feel a little bit more vulnerable, obviously, because you don't have the walls of the tent to protect you, not just from the elements, but also possible animals. But it was great to do it when I did it, because it was, first of all, it was close to, so I was already in Central Australia, obviously, and it was so cold that there is no animals outside. They're all hibernating. No snakes, no spiders, no bugs whatsoever. They're all sleeping somewhere in the, I don't know where they sleep. The only worry that I had were the dingoes, which sometimes I heard them howling. But the truth is that it was just great. Like you say, the sky was just this. There were more stars than actually dark spots, I think. It was just this, the Milky Way. I don't think I ever seen the Milky Ways as good as I saw it that one night.
That's a memory that you'll always have as well. You probably close your eyes and picture exactly what it was like, and to feel those moments of seeing that. It is amazing being somewhere where you just have no light pollution and you just have this stark view of that night sky, isn't it?
Yes, I think also because of the cold temperature, everything looks neat, more, I don't know how to explain.
There's no haze.
Yes.
Yeah, there's more clarity.
Yes, that's right. More clarity, yes.
Oh, I agree with you there. I think some of the best night sky I've ever had was when I was in Australia living there, Laura. I lived in the Snowy Mountains, and the times that I've bikepacked out in the high country there and the night sky there, I think is unmatched. Like I haven't experienced Central Australia though, so I'm sure Central Australia will say, Bella, hold my beer. Look what we got for you here. But yeah, it is, and I think the temperatures that I had there, I think when we were there, I think it dropped down to about -2 or -3 at night as well. And there is an extra clarity to the night sky with that cooler temperature. I must Google that and see if it's an actual phenomenon.
Yeah, that's right.
maybe
it's just in our minds.
With wild camping and camping, do you love wild camping? Is it something that you enjoy doing? Like, how has your experience with wild camping on this bikepacking trip been for you?
It has been quite, I think, an evolution. When I start a little bit planning for this trip, I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna wild camp most of the time. It's going to be fine because I already did that in the mountains. I'm already experienced. But then, actually, when I started in Melbourne, and I think throughout until the border with South Australia, at least, the truth is that I was not feeling that comfortable, and I was because I couldn't. I don't know. I couldn't really find places where to do it, even though there were many. But I guess it was just lack of experience. So
it could also be when you're getting past places too. Like, it might be the wrong time of day when you come across the perfect spot, right?
Yes, also that, but also there are so many on the coast. That's where most of the population of Australia lives.
Especially on the east.
Yes, I was actually going through some, like every day I would pass like 2 or 3 towns, and I don't know. And then there was the road, but it's on the side of the road. Most of the time it's fenced, and there isn't really a place to be. I tried wild camp on the ovals, if that's you can call wild camp.
In the school, yeah?
Yeah, no, actually on the cricket ovals.
Or just in parks and ovals,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But that didn't quite feel, what can I say, like relaxing, because I was always, those are places where actually people would come, and that's where maybe the most dangerous things that could happen when you are wild camping, when people spot you. But I have to say, after I crossed to South Australia, it got easier and easier because I went through national parks, and there were campsites there. And then after Adelaide, the Mawson Trail just leads you to these back roads. It leads you to some campsites, and it leads you to very awesome huts that you can stay the night. Yeah, and then obviously got easier and easier because the road was becoming, then the whole landscape was becoming more remote and more remote and more remote. So obviously then you could just pitch the tent anywhere.
Yeah, and not be concerned about
anything. There is no one around, and not even, as I said, not even the wildlife was around because it's just, yeah, too cold.
I want to ask you a question about that landscape. When we decided we were going to interview you, the next leg of your journey to Darwin wasn't in the plans. That's only just happened literally in the last few days,
Yes.
which is amazing. And Laura, listeners, Laura said, Bella, do you want to wait till I've done Darwin? And I've gone, no, I want to be a podcast and say, let's go now and I'll interview you again after you've got to Darwin. Because I can't wait to see what that looks like. But I thought to myself, who have I already interviewed that's gone through the centre of Australia? Because I often like to pose questions to guests from other people. And I reached out to Claire Wyatt,
yes.
an awesome friend of mine who has travelled many, many kilometres through Australia. And she's travelled the opposite direction to you. Like, she went from, before she got to Darwin, she had a journey, right? But Darwin down the middle, and you're heading, she headed south, you're heading north. And I said, have you got some questions for Laura? So she's got two.
Okay.
The first one is one that I had thought of, just what you were saying there, it triggered it. And she said, how do you explain the emptiness and vastness of the landscape there to other people?
Ooh. How do I explain the vastness? It's, wow. It's sometimes, it's just, most of the time I would say it's just overwhelming, but in my experience, in a very positive way. I just feel like you have this whole the whole world for you, you know, like you can see everywhere and you know where you're going and I don't know, it just feels free, like to be free. Especially in Australia, there is something ancient about it as well because the whole country is so old in like geologically speaking. And I think when you are going through these landscapes, you can really feel it. So yeah, maybe ancient.
Yeah, and like a connection to that as well.
Yes, in a way also you understand how many aboriginals, you know, like have all these crazy stories because you see like all these myths and stories that they have.
Yeah, and their dream time.
The dream time, yes, I think you can really understand why when you see this big country, this big outback of, yes, of nothing.
I feel it when you say those words about it as well. And it's interesting saying how you felt like so free from it and that you can see everything. Like there's ultimate freedom in being in such a big space where you feel like that space is for you because it's so empty as well. And
Yes,
then to be connected to this, that's a beautiful culture.
yes,
To feel that would be magic.
yes, and also it gets so special also according to the time of the day, like the sunrise and the sunsets.
Mm.
They are just, it's not just the sun going down and dipping down in front of you, it's also what you can see in the back, which sometimes like you don't get to see that a lot. And here is just 360 degrees and you see all these hues of pink, of purple and blue, and you can only do that because it's so open and you can just see them because you have this vastness all around you. It's quite humbling, actually.
Yeah. Did you find yourself you had moments on the journey there, Laura, where you were just constantly spinning around 360 degrees and just taking it all in and not pedaling but just looking?
Yes, definitely, definitely, especially on the Unadala track because there was traffic there, but obviously not much. So you could just stay there in the middle of the road or just go off the road and just take it all in with the bike and walking. It was just all free.
Wow. We were talking about the Udnadada track, but I actually have, well, actually, before we move on, I do have another question from Claire.
Oh, yes, yes, Claire.
She wants to know, how are you coping with the flies?
The ubiquitous Australian fly. It's a challenge. They are really annoying. In some parts, I don't think I'm coping at all. I mean, I use the fly net, and that's about it. I'm not too sure if there are any other ways of coping with it. If there are, please let me know. But it's just horrendous. It's everywhere. Some places, it's they're just there, and I always wonder like how they find me. You know, like with all the space, they're always there. Like how's that possible? They even make tailwind awful because then you cannot run away from them. Yes.
Do you have a fly net to cover you and your helmet so they're not on your face?
I did a little bit with the fly net and the helmet, but I kind of not don't like it because obviously with the fly net your vision it's obfuscated a little bit, and when you are in these amazing places, I just want to see it all. I feel like I'm missing out if I have this net covering my sight.
Yeah, I can imagine. Absolutely. I've experienced flies in Australia, not in the outback, but certainly experienced them. And horse flies. Do you have horse flies in the outback? I've always wondered, are they just little tiny bush flies that you have, or do you have the bigger ones that'll bite you as well?
No, I didn't experience that. The horsefly, like not here. I did somewhere else in Australia. I think maybe in Broome even. Not too sure. Or maybe when I was traveling down the west coast. I know which one you mean, but so far, so good. Not sure. Maybe when going up more north, they will also be there. I hope not.
Laura, we were talking just briefly there about your time in the desert and, you know, even up towards the Udnadada track. But I want to rewind you a little bit and I want to take you to the Mawson Trail because it's one that I have seen many times before. I've seen people's vlogs. I've seen videos, I've seen photos of it, and it's one that I've been tempted to take on myself. And I want you to tell me all about it. And for listeners who've never heard of this before, can you let them know what are we talking about here?
So the Mawson Trail, it's this mainly mountain bike trail that goes from Adelaide to Blinman. Blinman being this teeny tiny town in northern South Australia. It goes, it's mainly unpaved and gravel. Sometimes it's even a hiking trail, and it goes through all the state of South Australia, basically, so, south to north or vice versa. It starts through the winery region of South Australia. Then the more north you go, obviously, the more remote it gets, going through these outback towns and through like more mountainous areas, which is the Flinders Range. It's very unique, and I think it's a good way to get to explore South Australia, especially because again there is like all this change of scenery starting from the wine country, even though I might have been a little bit unlucky in that sense because South Australia experienced over 6 months of drought, so everything was
Completely dry, yeah.
yes, even too dry for the grapes. So that was a little bit sad. Also, it connects all these towns that I think if it wouldn't be for the Mawson, they would be a little bit, let's say, forgotten from the tourism and from visiting. Yes.
Because I really got a sense of that when I was looking through your images as you were making your way through there, that there's a lot of space in between these towns. I'm not even sure, like, some of them would you even just call settlements, like not necessarily towns, like it's just a congregation of a
Yes.
few houses or a property or two. And
Yes, definitely.
yeah, I think that's a big part of your journey as well, are the strangers you've met who live in these remote areas and the insights into what it must be like to live there. You must have some amazing
Yes.
connections that you made even just briefly with people there, right?
Yes, I had some interaction with some funny characters. Some of them just maybe being, I think, not even used to foreigners, to backpackers, even less. I mean, they're used to people traveling with the bike because they do see people going through the Mawson, but no, I think not so many foreigners. I remember this one guy, he was working for this antique shop in Laura. The town was called Laura.
Your namesake.
Yes. And me and Anna, I was traveling with her at the time. We just entered this antique shop, and this guy would just start talking, but the most random things. I can't even remember exactly what he was talking about. I just remember that we were just starving and wanting to go and try the ice cream, which the town is famous for, and obviously other things, anything at that point. And this guy just didn't let us. He wouldn't let us because he was just like talk and talk and talk about his Italian heritage, I think he was saying, because maybe the grandma or the grandpa came from there. Yes, it was like, oh, okay, we want to go. Let us go.
He was excited to have someone new to speak to.
Yeah, yes, that's right. I think he was really, really excited. I don't think he was used to anyone just walking into his shop.
I have to ask, what was the ice cream like?
It was good. It was really good. The Golden North. I tried most of the flavors that they had at the shop. I like the fruity ones, and they had some fruits that I was not used to have as ice cream. For example, plums. I think kakadu plums. It was really nice. I was really impressed.
I don't think I've even had plums in an ice cream before. When you think of fruit in an ice cream, you've got all the berries, and then you've got like things like mango or passion fruit, but I've never plums. No.
Yes, that's right. Same for peach. They have this different flavors. I quite liked it, and I've been finding actually the ice cream since then in the most also random places. And I think I notice now because I know that from where it comes from. And I've been always having some as soon as I would see it in the shops or in the servos.
Yeah, and you were thinking, oh, I've been there. I know where it's from. That's pretty cool.
Yes, yes.
Service stations are a big deal on the Mawson Trail, I'm guessing, because they would be a big resupply point as well.
Yes. Actually, there were a couple of big grocery shops up until the first maybe 400 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
And then after corn, not much petrol station, I would say, but general stores. It was the main place where to resupply. General stores that in Australia, they can get quite random because they're not just general. Well, I guess they are general stores because you can find any sort of thing from again from antiques to CD stores, but CD being like really old CDs.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even people having a CD player is a bit of an old tech too, right? Like, when you think
That's
about it.
right, that's right. Or even I remember one of the general store they had this Barbie doll, but it was a Barbie that I think it was from the 80s even because even the logo and the aspect of the Barbie itself herself was different from what we're used to.
You know your remote when you haven't sold the toy from the 80s. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Because I'd seen one of your fascinations was general stores and seeing what you could find in there. It must be so unique and interesting and very different to like rocking up to a small country town supermarket in other places. Like in these remote places, you would find just a myriad of really random things, I'm imagining.
Yes, random things, but also, as I said, the general store not being just the supermarket where you resupply, but sometimes it was also the general store and the cafe, the general store and the post office, the general store
The
and
community centre. Yeah.
it was everything for the place. Like you just go there and you do everything.
Everything there,
But
yeah.
they are small. They are small, and they are also all of them. They are different because they are all, I think, family owned. So in a way, they all put their own character into it.
Yeah.
It was quite special to just go there and see what they had.
For me, I think it would be like something you'd look forward to. Oh, I wonder what this place is going to be like and what am I going to find here? What characters are running
Definitely.
the store? Because as I said earlier, I think when you're getting to places which are so remote and which is not really typically touristy, there would be unique people who live in those places. Like it's not for everyone, let's put it that way.
Yes, that's right. It's not. It's not for. No, it's not for everyone. That's right. I would say though most of the yes, then of the funny people it would be even more remote when you would go on the Unadata because there it also start because that's the thing like these towns are still on the Moson they are still let's say in quotation mark connected by sealed road and people they go through but then it's only when the unsealed road starts I think that's when things get funny.
Yeah, things really get remote and interesting. Something else with the Mawson Trail, it has a reputation for being better to navigate when it's not been wet, but if it has been wet, things can get very interesting very quickly. And what I mean by that is there are sections of the trail which just turn into mud that it's pretty much impossible to ride a bike through. You experienced this, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I now laugh about it, but back then it was such a disaster.
How far into it were you before you hit the Mawson mud? And it was a showstopper for a while too, was it? Like it was impossible to get anywhere with that mud.
That's right. So I can't remember how many cases in. Well, that's the thing. There are sections of the Mawson that they always put a sign even at the beginning of the road saying like dry weather condition only. So you already know that if it's wet, you shouldn't go there. And normally there is alternatives. But on this particular one, I must have been maybe difficult to say, maybe 600, 700 Ks in. And I was so, like, thinking back, it was so silly, but that's, I don't know, decision of the moment. I was riding with Anna and we were staying in this hut, which we even loved, and we were even considering staying for a rest day there. But somehow we just, I don't know, we talked ourselves out of it and we just decided to ride instead, even knowing that the rain was coming. But we just thought, I think we didn't think that it would have been as bad.
Are you mentally thinking, okay, it might stop us for a bit, but we can walk through and keep going? Is that what your
Yes,
mindset was?
yes. And also it was so dry. It has been so dry that we thought that the terrain would just soak all the water in, but it wouldn't turn into mud just because it was so dry.
Wouldn't have the chance to pull and make mud from the terrain. Yeah, I can understand that thought, but that's clearly not what happened.
That's not what happened. So there was this stretch of 13 kilometers. And the funny thing is that we even have the alternative and we even discussed if to take the safer alternative. But I don't know. No risk, no fun. So
No
we
risk,
just
no
went.
fun. Oh, I love this. This is going to be a little clip. No risk, no
So we
fun.
were like, well, let's start doing it. And if we see that it's too bad, we just turn back. I was like, okay, let's do it. And then we started it. And we also decided to do that because it was such a scenic route, just on the side of this of the Flinders. It was amazing. Even with the cloudy weather, it was very mystical. It was great up until it started actually raining, and then the rain stopped, and that's when I think the terrain, the soil started becoming mud and stick to the tires and just kicking up and kicking up and kicking up. Every time you would just pedal, this mud would just stick to the wheels, that would stick to the bike, that would stick to the rack until you just couldn't paddle anymore and you couldn't even, the wheel wouldn't turn because everything was just stuck.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and this was like in a 13-kilometer stretch that it would have been like this. Maybe we cycled without problem for the first 6 or 7 kilometers, meaning that we still had halfway to deal with that mess that was the mud cake mess.
How long did it take to get through 6 or 7 kilometres?
Yes, it took like 6 or 7 hours.
Oh my goodness
No
me,
joke.
like a kilometre an hour.
Yes.
Because you can't push your bike, can you? Because the mud makes it too heavy to even carry.
So yeah, we were trying to push the bike. The thing is that the band was still sticking to the wheels, and at a certain point, even the wheel wasn't spinning anymore. So we would just trying to take the mud out, both with sticks, both with our hands, trying to make the wheel spin so that we could actually push the bike. And we got even to a point that we had to remove all our panniers and all our gear because we were in this I think you say in English gully kind of thing. It was
Where it drops down and comes back up the other side, sort of. Yeah, okay.
yes, and the thing is that being also muddy was also really slippery, so we couldn't even push up the bike because we were just going
Oh
down.
my gosh. If you had a camera that could be the third person to
Oh
sort of be
my.
away from the situation and laugh at the hilarity of what it looked like while you were frustrated dealing with it.
I mean, we laughed a little bit, and then after like 3 hours, though, it stopped being funny. It stopped like we want to get to the highway, we want to get to the bitumen, we want to just have a shower, and
Oh my gosh, yeah, like you would have been muddy yourself. Like you would have been covered and your hands would be covered, your face would be covered, your feet and your legs are covered. Your clothes are
everything. It was
disgusting.
everything. It was just everything, just mad, and mad and sweat as well because you're also wearing these rainproof clothes, so they're not really breathable, and you are pushing, so it's hot. It gets hot, so it was just this mess. It was just this mess. So yeah, it stopped being fun. I think fun after 3 or 4 hours of pushing.
I bet you were happy that you were together for that section. Could you imagine doing that on your own?
Yes, we even talked about it. Like we end up the day, well, we were really proved actually. Like as I said, like after a long time, it starts even to be a little bit scary because I had a little bit of service, but it was getting dark and we were still on this section, And we knew that after getting to the asphalt, we still had to bike 6 or 7 kilometers to get to this station where we decided to stay because we did not want to pitch a tent. There was not even the condition.
Imagine trying to pitch a tent in that.
Oh no, yes, and also we were also so unprepared because we didn't have water. I remember now. We didn't even have water to even cook. That was really bad. That was really bad.
Hang on. Does the end of this day end with a meal at least? Like, do you have food?
We, it was, yes. The end of the day, yes, we had a food, but it was like the saddest food ever because we were really tired. And the food that we actually had was kind of the emergency food that,
You hope to never have to eat.
yes, which was like couscous with, I can't remember, but we both hate couscous. It's just literally, we just bring it just in case because it's still handy. It's still like not too heavy, cooks faster, it fills you up. But so it ended up with a little bit of a sad meal, but we were happy that we got to the station, that we even managed to ride those bikes once we got to the asphalt because, as I said, the mud was everywhere and we didn't have any tools to actually clean the bike. And the day after, when we actually had the tools and the water and everything to clean the bike, that's where we were like so impressed on how surprised on how we even rode those bikes because we realized that there were rocks in the chain, rocks in the cassette, rocks on everywhere, like not just mud, but also tiny rocks that probably I think that's also what damaged my bike at the end because I was pedaling after we got out from the muddy section and we started the bitumen to get to the station. Obviously, we were pedaling, but the bikes were not clean enough. And we thought that it was just mud, but it was also hard stuff.
Yeah. Oh my goodness me. Because when you talk about what broke your bike, because you did have some equipment failures. Yeah, I think your rack
Yes,
broke at one stage and you had to fix your rack, or maybe it's broken more than once.
more than once.
Yeah, more than once. Do you still have is it the same rack now? Like, have you just fixed it, or did you have to get a new rack? Or
Actually, I'm gonna still use the same one because I think it's gonna be fine being on the bitumen and not being like there is not much corrugation, not much
that's me
hard.
knocking on wood for you.
Yes, yes, oh yes, definitely need one.
Oh my goodness me! But you had other equipment problems as well which literally
Yes,
brought you to that standstill.
yes, that's right. So yeah, that was caused mainly after this episode. So what broke was the free hub.
And there's no riding away from that. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you
but it
can't
was a
fix that
piece
on the
that
roadside.
I didn't even know about the existence of that. Like I'm not very bike mechanic knowledgeable. Like
Hmm.
I can only fix a puncture, and that's it. I'm even really bad at chain maintenance. So when I cleaned that bike and we start riding again, I could sense that the bike wasn't 100%. And also, when I would start pedaling or go on a climb and putting pressure on the bike, on the pedal, I could always hear like some noise and also from coming from the back, and also the chain not.
It was slipping. It wasn't taking traction, and
Yes, and but also the teeth of the cassette weren't going properly on in the
into the
chain.
chain.
Into the
Yeah.
chain, yes, and I had absolutely no clue of what was going on. So what I decided to do, I just finished the Moson at the stage. I thought that the bike could handle a little bit more, and then at the end of the Moson, I got back to the a more trafficked road, and that's when I hitch a ride back to the nearest bike shop, which was 300 kilometers away.
I love that.
Uh,
The nearest bike shop is still 300 kilometres away.
yes, it was like,
Welcome to Central Australia.
that's right. That's Australia. That's Central Australia for you. But yeah, I got this ride and then I got to the bike shop. And then that's when they told me that the free hub, it had so much dirt in it that compromised the whole cassette thing. That's where the noise came from. And the annoying thing is that apparently that Freehub, they are brand specific in most of the cases. And there is a Shimano one that is standard, but it was not on stock from, I don't know, they couldn't find it. Yeah, I ended up having to replace the whole rim.
Oh my gosh, that becomes expensive too.
Yes, it was expensive. They tried to contact Marine, they tried to contact some suppliers for this Shimano Freehub that fits it all.
But it just wasn't available. Oh my
It
goodness.
wasn't available, and they just told me like probably we can get a hold of it, but who knows when. And when you are on a bike trip like mine, I guess. I just wanted to also keep going. I didn't want to not know how long I had to wait.
How long did you have to wait in the end, just for the spare parts they could get to
Um,
arrive? Because you were stopped for was it a week or was it
a
longer?
week, yes, but
Yeah.
originally they told me that it would be like only just past the weekend because I also arrived in this town on a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
So I knew that whatever they needed to order, it wouldn't have arrived in time because they don't deliver things on weekend.
But you did find an awesome place to stay.
Oh yes, I did stay in this awesome place. So I was hosted by a local. She's called Jackie. Jackie
Hi,
lives in
Jackie.
this. Hi, Jackie. Jackie lives in this beautiful stone house just outside Melrose, and she lives with her German Shepherd Zepp and with 12 rescue kangaroos.
Oh, I remember you there with the rescue little roos, and they're like little baby joeys, a lot of them too.
Yes, that's right. There is a Joey, and there are all sorts of kangaroos. There is the red kangaroos, the eastern kangaroos, the western kangaroos. So you would think that the kangaroos are all the same, but actually they're
No,
not.
they're different. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So that would have been an awesome little pause from the adventure.
Yes, it was.
You know when you're stuck in one place, and especially you've got to pay for equipment you didn't budget for. You're not making the forward progress you had initially planned. I think you were there with your adventure buddy, and then obviously you're stuck, but they're not. So then I'm guessing you're on your own. So things changing, but to have that little moment of a pause, to be with Jackie, welcomed into her home, and then have this cool little side adventure where you're learning about rescue routes, that would have been awesome.
Yes, that's right. I was so happy. I mean, like, I was sad, obviously, because of the bike, because of the diagnosis of the bike. I knew that it was going to be expensive. But at the same time, like I would like this is such an Australian experience, to be so close to kangaroos. You can't find kangaroos anywhere else in the world, and normally the wild ones they don't approach, they spook.
No, they're very, very shy.
Yes,
You don't ever really get to experience roos of that size because they live in the pouch for so long.
that's
Like
right.
even when you do see, I must say that is something that I absolutely love when I am back in Australia and I see kangaroos is when you see like just the little head coming out of the mum's pouch, or
Uh,
like the head with like a leg, because it looks
yes,
so awkward, right?
yes, that's right. And sometimes they stay in that pouch, even like when they are big, like they are
Yeah, they look like they're
big.
too big to be in there, but they're there for quite a while. You did get your bike fixed, and then obviously the destination you kept heading towards Alice Springs. But we talked about the Oodnadatta track and the big detour that you did to Uluru. I really want to talk about that because that was such a mega special part of your journey. Listeners, I want to give a huge shout out to Zerali, who are supporting Seek Travel Ride. I'm honestly stoked to be working with them because they are an Aussie company doing outdoor gear right. Everything they make is designed by people who actually spend time adventuring outdoors, so they get what works and what doesn't. What I really love is how environmentally conscious they are as a company. They are designing products thinking about their environmental impact. They're using both sustainable and ethical materials to create gear that will last. I absolutely love their line of merino products. They're brilliant, lightweight, breathable. You wear it for days. You don't get smelly. And trust me, when you're out on the road or a trail for a few days at a time on a bike adventure, not feeling like you're smelly wearing the same t-shirt is a big plus. They don't just make clothing though, they also have tents, they have sleep mats, they make trail shoes, hats, everything. So if you are in the market for some of that outdoor type equipment, please hit up the affiliate link in the show notes. And another big monumental thank you to Zorali for supporting the show. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Yes. So the Unadata, again, it was something that I've been kind of dreaming about it for the last couple of years. Again, because I just saw it, this other clothier like cycling it, and I've seen this, like his stories on Instagram and the way also he explained it. I really like his storytelling, and I don't know, I felt like, oh my God, this is something that I would love to experience myself one day. So when I was there, I don't know, I built up this whole expectation also about it, which all the expectations were met, obviously. However, there has been like a little bit of a change on the Gunda data, and it was, I don't know. So I always had in my mind that I would be doing it by myself, because again, it's always this discussion about riding solo or with company. But I thought that this kind of landscape should be experienced by yourself, and also for me, it's a way of learning how strong I might be or not be. However, on my way there, I met two other cyclists, Hamish and Darcy.
Hi, Hamish and Darcy.
Hi, guys. Who surprisingly they were doing the same route as I was. And I say surprisingly because both me and Anna also during the marathon, and also since I was riding from Melbourne, I haven't met any cyclist at all. So for me it was like, what? Two cyclists in the middle of Australia. How big was the chance?
Exactly.
Yes. So yeah, no, I met them, and it was a great meeting. And that's when we kind of decided to go and start the Una Data together and see how it went.
That's something you can't plan for.
No,
How happy were you that that occurred? Like looking back on that now, that you got to experience it with those people.
I was really I'm really happy that that happened.
Yeah.
Especially because at the end, it took me like 9 days to cover the Una Data, and at a certain point we did separate. So I still got to have that experience of wanting to be this remote with a bike by myself. But in a way, I really think that having met them was meant to be. They are really passionate about bikes. They are really kind. They have the heart in the right place. And it was great to just share some of the moments with them together. Yes. They even helped me with mechanicals because I had it, and I don't know how I would have done it if they weren't there even.
But there's something that every guest has told me, something goes wrong and there's always a solution. You somehow find a way, and this is what's happened to you as well.
That's right.
Taking the big detour to go not direct to Alice Springs, but to take in the amazing, incredible areas around Uluru and surrounds, and not just Uluru. Like you experienced further than Uluru, and you went and did a lovely detour to see some other beautiful natural beauty in that part of Central Australia as well. What was that like? Because you obviously, we grew up seeing images of Uluru. We've probably, if you're about to go there, you're probably seeking them out and seeing people's videos. You might have seen other bike travellers who've been there and sort of had a semi, knowing what to expect. But what's it like when you start making your own way there and then you see it so starkly on the horizon and then start to make your way towards it?
Yes. Well, I remember being really emotional seeing it in the horizon. I was like, wow, like after all I went through, I'm finally here. And you can tell again, it's such a big rock with nothing in between. Just actually, there is Uluru, but there is also Katachuta. That they are the two things that just stick out in the horizon. you can sense this. I It's difficult to explain. It's like this almost mythological
Hmm.
landscape. You understand why there are so many stories behind it. When I saw it in the horizon, I felt so emotional. I started crying. I felt, wow, I'm here after all this. However, once I got there, this magic kind of fell apart because, like you say, it's everyone knows about it. It's very famous. It's very touristy.
It has its own industry all around it, right?
That's right. There is a lot of industry, and I was happy, obviously, to go there. I did a walk. I visited the whole park. I spent there even 4 days, and I really like them. But if I have to think back, I think, yes, I think that most of the magic is taken away just because it is so known, and you see like these people that they are there just to take the photo and walk away and not to experience it. And especially when I went, like when you go through the rugged Australia, and you have all everything for yourself, and this, yes, this everything it's for you, like you are there with the tent or with the bike. There is the silence, it's more enjoyable in a way. So I was happy to get to Uluru, but not as happy as I thought I would be.
Yeah, and I wonder whether like the peak happiness was when you saw it first on the horizon.
I think it was actually.
Yeah.
I think that was way more meaningful for me than when I got there. But by any means, I think people like should still visit it. I think it's still such an iconic landmark that is still, yeah, I think people still should still go get there and visit it. Especially there are some walks that rangers do, and they explain some of the geological history about Uluru, but also there are some paintings on the wall.
Yeah, like some of the indigenous culture and stuff behind it as well
Exactly.
from the First
So
Nations people. Yeah.
exactly. So it's like you still can get some values, some cultural knowledge and insights. So it's still quite nice. It's just for me coming from more rugged deserts and more rugged places. I felt like that was more real than what Uluru was.
Because you experienced raw beauty in a different way totally to yourself. It was like when we were talking earlier in the show about you cowboy camping and not even having the tent there and
Yes.
seeing the most clear Milky Way galaxy starlit sky. I think you
Yes.
said you saw more stars than dark spots between them. It was just
That's
so
right.
vibrant. Like, yeah, like they're moments where they're moments of awe, and they're pinch me moments, and they're moments where you feel probably like you're the luckiest person around. Like,
For
how
sure.
lucky are you? You get to have this all to yourself, right?
That's for sure. Or sharing with people that are like-minded.
With
I
you,
mean,
yeah, exactly. But without the whole industry of 5-star hotels or whatever star hotels and tour buses and tour groups and everyone arriving on the site at the same time and everyone
yes,
doing the sunset colours of Uluru dinner and now look at the rock
yes.
now and it's changed colours and now look 15 minutes and I say that I still want to go and experience that.
Oh
But you
yeah,
are right. There is something special to have experienced the lead up to it and the special moments in the unknown special places.
yes, yes. I think, as I said, I think it's more real when you do a less mainstream thing, when it's more natural as well.
And arriving there in the way that you have.
Yes,
So you're in Alice Springs now, but the rest of your journey is going to take you to Darwin. And that's a new. Well, as we said at the start of the show, Melbourne to Darwin was what you dreamed about, but was too scared to say out loud and commit to. But now that's what you're doing. Are you happy and proud about that?
yes, I'm definitely happy and I'm definitely proud. I think again everything can happen, but I think I will manage to accomplish this task. Touch wood, I guess. I hope I didn't jinx it.
I'll touch it again for you. There you go. We've got so much to look forward to. There's quite a lot of road between you and Darwin. Have you got mini milestones of, you know how when you left from Melbourne you had like the Otways and then you had Great Ocean Road and you had Adelaide, then you had, the Mawson Trail. Do you have a sort of mini milestone between Alice Springs and Darwin?
I do. I do. I think one of them being passing the Tropic of Capricorn.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I expect to be just something on the side of the road, but I think that from there the landscape will again change to something more maybe green, tropical.
Yeah, and actually seeing the change of the desert, like see that desert
Yes.
differently. Because actually, something that we must say, Australia has received quite a lot of rainfall, which meant that parts of the desert would have been alive. Like Lake Eyre, I think, would have had quite a lot of water in it, and I'm
Yes.
guessing the desert comes to life with a small amount of rain, so maybe wildflowers and stuff were a bit more prominent for you as well. But it'll be interesting to see what changes you observe now heading further north.
Yes. Yes. I expect yeah to be well again like you say was like the water from the floodings have changed the landscape and make it a little bit more like greener and alive in some parts and filled up Lake Air that normally is just this salty patch of nothing, just dry, dry. But yeah, more north. Yeah, I just imagine to be more tropical. I think I'm a little bit wary of the crocodiles.
Mm.
I'm not sure if I will encounter any on the route. I don't know what to expect from there, but I expect like yeah more trees for sure. With trees comes lizard, like yeah more wildlife. I actually remember when I've been following Claire travels when she was cycling in Australia. I even remember her like camping and waking up with this all sorts of frogs around her or something. I'm not
Oh
sure
my
if
gosh, yes. She even had them in her tent, didn't she? I think I
yes.
remember that as
Now
well. Yes.
I that's stuck in my head. So I'm like, am I going to am I going to like have a that as well? So
Oh, if you do, you so need to tag me and Claire in a post or a story.
oh my
Like, look, the
god, for
frogs have
sure.
happened.
For sure.
Claire will probably be listening to this. She can tell us where it was. Oh my goodness me, that's hilarious. Well, actually, for people will be listening to this wanting to follow your journey, what's the best way that they can find you there online, Laura? What is your account on Instagram?
Yeah, so I do share stories on Instagram as I go. My account is basti.onthemove. It's spelled Basti, like a shorten for my last name, and then on the move.
Oh, very good. Listeners, I'll provide a link in the show notes so that you can track Laura's journey and do as I did and go through all her archive stories and get the visual images of what her journey was like leaving from Melbourne as well. And actually, a shout out to your through hikes. Go through those archives as well. Because the through hikes that you have taken on, there's some incredible images and experiences that you've had with that as well, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, I just love the approach that you've taken with this mode of slow travel, changing the way that you're undertaking it, but just what you've experienced because of it. It's absolutely awesome. I love it. I love it to bits. Sadly, it's time to bring the show to a close. I always feel like time flies when I interview people like yourself, Laura. But I will bring it to the close. I do that asking the same three questions from all guests. The first one is music related. You're a guest of the show now, which means you get to pick a song that goes on the Seek Travel Ride music playlist there on
Yes.
Spotify and Apple Music. What song, Laura Bastioli, are you picking to be the soundtrack to your adventure?
I think I will go with Paul Simon, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be me and Julio down by the schoolyard. It's not about bikes or anything, but I like the tune and the melodies. It's quite a happy song.
Ooh, do you listen to music when you're out on your bike? Like, do you listen to happy songs to cheer you up or anything at all?
I used not to, I used to not at all, but then I hit the Stuart Highway and these big stretches of asphalt and road trains and caravans, and I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I think music is fine every now
A
and
good
then."
distraction. All right. Well,
Yes.
I have got you there, and you are down on the playlist. Next question. You're given a choice one day, Laura. You can go left, and all day you will be pedaling on the most corrugated washboard bumpy road in the world. Maybe it's somewhere. Maybe it's somewhere you've already ridden, because you've had that before.
Yes.
Or you can go right, and the surface will be nice and smooth, but you'll be battling straight into a horrendous headwind. Which one are you going to choose?
Well, I knew that this question was coming, and I don't have to even think it twice. I'm gonna go with the headwinds.
Mmm.
I've been in a lot of gravel road, corrugated, for a long time as well, on in a row. And although it was quite adventurous, I know that it's just hard and tiring. I think I do better with headwinds, but I reserve the right to change my answer if, I don't know, my adventures bring me to Patagonia.
You might have some headwinds going up to Darwin, but yeah, or maybe you find yourself in Patagonia. My God, if you do, don't head north. Go south. Go south. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, Laura, final question. I want you to finish this sentence for me, and that is, the best thing about taking a bike adventure is.
Um, I think the best thing is realizing that freedom only weighs. You can put freedom on two wheels, and you can just go with all you can carry.
Just the idea that what you can carry is enough to go out there and have a great experience.
Yes, it's no more than two wheels and everything that you can carry with it.
Yeah. And if I think about it, even your very first adventure you were talking about there in the early days, it was just a week long up through in Vietnam. What an amazing experience you had up there. And
Yes,
now,
spontaneity.
yeah. And look at the adventure stories you can reflect on. Some of them, maybe in hindsight, maybe you still don't wish that you experienced, like the infamous mud of the Mawson Trail.
Yes.
And the aftermath. You know how you mentioned you washed your bike? I bet you there's still somewhere, in a little crevasse somewhere, a little bit of Mawson dirt somewhere, right?
Oh yes, I
Or
wouldn't be
hidden in your
surprised.
pannier, or you'll undo a
Definitely.
bolt one day, and it'll sort of be encrusted with this mud earth on the outside, and you go, oh, there's Mawson.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, gosh. Laura, it has been an absolute pleasure. What an awesome time I've had chatting with you. You've got me excited about exploring my own country more and being adventurous enough to take on that Central Australian route. I've not done any desert riding yet. I love my roads to have a bit of incline to them, and I've always talked myself out of the idea of riding through the centre of Australia where perhaps it's not so mountainous. But the idea of being in a landscape that's endless, you use the word freedom a few times to describe the vastness of the desert landscape. The idea that you have this 360-degree, beautiful, splendid sunrise or sunset with multicolours coming all around you. And something else you said, which was you feel more connected to such an ancient landscape with its own stories and histories to tell. It certainly got me excited. I'm sure it's got a lot of listeners excited. I'm also excited to see what pans out for you as you make your way to Darwin. We've made a deal that we'll connect up again to tell the rest of the story. In the meantime, I wish you tailwinds and smooth roads, great food stops, beautiful 360 degrees, sunrise and sunset colours. May you cowboy camp a few more times and experience just the most amazing Milky Way starry night sky galaxy above you. And thank you so much for sharing your stories and experiences here on the podcast for Seek Travel Ride.
Thank you very much for having me. It was such a pleasure and such an honor, and I hope I can come back with more stories for the last stretch.
There we go, listeners. Are you just as excited as me about Central Australia and adventures in Australia full stop? Riding your bike there, seeing the different landscapes, connecting with the scenery. And what about Laura herself? just someone who craves seeing places, now on two wheels, originally on 2 feet. But I really love the way that she describes the experiences that she's had, how she has truly felt the areas that she has travelled through. That really came across. The other thing that came across was, yes, she's had some equipment malfunctions, putting it lightly, to deal with on this adventure, but she's always dealt with it. And I think something else that came across, we didn't really outwardly speak about it, but she's got that flexibility within her as well. She's had to make adjustments. She's had to change minds and change tact, even to the idea of changing from doing sections of the journey solo to finding adventure buddies, fellow bikepackers there on the trail, and joining in with company for certain sections as well. And that all comes with the idea that you're flexible enough to change your initial idea on a concept and seek out adventure. I feel like the Mawson mud will haunt her for a while yet. And if people are tuning into this and are going to take the Mawson Trail on, I guess heed Laura's warnings. If you see the sign that says dry weather road only, they really mean it by the sounds of it as well. And yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next for Laura. And listeners, if you have been enjoying this episode of the podcast and you've enjoyed tuning in to Seek Travel Ride and you would like to show some support for me and the show, you can do so by buying me some virtual coffees. Simply head to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me some coffees, but leave me a message. Let me know what is it that you love hearing about on the podcast and where is your next adventure going to take you. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening.